A hand reaches out, pressing against a massive, pulsing yellow crystal. A reflection flickers inside. He's caught in the middle of some strange ritual. In a heartbeat, it yeets him across dimensions into a completely mysterious world. He's barely arrived before he's tangled up with a rough crew of strangers. They drag him straight into their mess. This place is crawling with danger. Unknown soldiers everywhere, wielding bizarre, flickering powers I've never seen. Seriously, everyone here seems to be packing a ridiculously powerful weapon. Between all these new creatures, telling friend from foe is basically impossible. He's gotta believe in himself, a little optimistic, but he's got no choice. Meanwhile, at a quiet temple, an elderly couple arrives to pray. The wife had a dream that a god would grant her wish, so she urges him. Her husband is pretty skeptical, but he follows her inside anyway. Their one big dream, just one thing, for the gods to bless them with a child. But the husband's eyes tell a tragic story. They already lost their only kid. He feels like they're far too old now, completely giving up on that hope. Just then, our main character is literally falling out of the sky. He's plummeting right toward their temple like some kind of divine package. His wife snaps the husband out of his sorrow, totally oblivious to the danger. Then, bam, the roof explodes right above their heads. The shock is way too much for her, and she passes out cold. Han Shen wakes up in the rubble, looking totally lost. To make it weirder, he's rocking this bizarre, brand new outfit. Suddenly, a pair of hands grabs him. It's the wife, eyes wide. She's convinced the gods just express delivered her a brand new son. Even the skeptical husband is starting to wonder if this is a miracle. Han Shen just wants to know who these strangers are. He tries explaining you can't just claim random people, which earns him a swift kick from the newly protective dad, no less. Then the wife immediately punches her husband for hitting her son. Classic chaos. Our boy is just standing there, screaming for this family drama to stop. Something finally clicks for him as he looks at their old-fashioned robes. A horrifying thought hits. Did he just accidentally time travel? So naturally, they all pile into a horse-drawn cart and head out. Inside, the couple actually accepts his wild story about being from another world. He admits he's got a classic case of amnesia. Everything's a blur. All he remembers is his name and some soul-crushing hard labor. Back in his old world, he doesn't recall having a single soul he cared about. He's a total blank slate on how he ended up here. His new mom is already planning dinner, but the husband isn't buying it yet. He decides to take Han Shen somewhere to get some real answers. They reach a stunning academy on a mountain, where a master inspects him. He confirms the boy's outfit is indeed their official school uniform. One guy thinks he's a chosen prodigy, while she's betting on a total freeloader. She's confident they'll find out soon enough, and fakers always pay the price. The test is simple. Go touch the giant glowing crystal and decide your fate. They don't look all that evil. He walks up close. He reaches out. He plants his hand on the stone, bracing for whatever comes next. His reflection shows up inside, just like before, but nothing happens. Peony is unimpressed. She reaches for a stick, but then a strange feeling hits him. His eyes flare red. Suddenly, he's yanked straight into a deep, crimson void. A voice booms out, asking if he's the chosen one. A chained entity appears. It stares him down, calling him much weaker than it expected. It declares him completely unworthy of its power. But then, it offers a deal. It says they can take things step by step. Honestly, that's pretty generous. An army of skeletal soldiers suddenly rises from the ground, chanting loudly. They reach out with bony hands, calling him their new lord. Han Shen is totally paralyzed, frozen, as they swarm him from every direction. He's trapped in a vision of pure terror, but then he snaps back to reality. Han Shen is just wailing on the crystal, clawing at it. And he isn't just tapping it, he is desperately trying to rip his hand away. His master is absolutely thrilled. The stone actually responded. While his new parents are having a mild panic attack, Han Shen, He's screaming his lungs out that this thing is evil, trying to kill him. So Peony calmly tells her subordinate to step in and help. His idea of helping, a cool pose and a loud battle armor shout. It summons a full set of 9th level battle armor right out of thin air. Oh boy is understandably freaking out about the sudden armor situation. In a flash, the armored guy is right behind him. He grabs Han Shen's wrists before the kid can even blink. That grip is unbreakable. He just whispers a polite "excuse me." Then he slams Han Shen's hand right back onto the crystal. This time, the stone erupts with a massive surge of raw power. It sends Han Shen flying across the room like a rag doll. His parents and the master watch in total shock as some insane armor starts materializing all over Han Shen's body. And this isn't just any armor. It's a Human King rank set, a full, complete suit manifests. It comes with a ridiculously huge polearm. Even the armored guy is losing his mind. Awakenings are supposed to be level 1, not this. Inside that helmet, Han Shen has glowing red eyes and a grin that looks completely unfriendly. He lunges at the armored guy. He is totally out of control, while the guy is screaming, begging him to please, for the love of God, just hold on. But the possessed kid smashes right through his high-level armor. The master notes he's gifted, but his mind is being eaten by the armor. His new parents are sprinting in, trying to tell their murder baby. That fighting is against the rules, but Han Shen is just completely gone, eyes glowing with pure malice. He turns his giant weapon toward his new mom, because family comes first, right? His new dad screams for her to watch out, leaving her frozen in terror as the massive blade swings right for her face. The strike stops inches away, a flicker of his old self fighting back. Then the master steps in, grabbing the polearm with just one hand. She halts the attack with zero effort, cracking the weapon shaft clean. She tells him to take it back, tossing the broken polearm aside like trash. It bounces off a pillar, but he snatches it out of the air instantly. With a terrifying grin, he's ready for round 2, missing the point entirely. He charges forward again, another sudden burst of speed carrying him. This time, he aims straight for the master. She barely reacts. She raises a hand, looking bored, and a single blast sends him flying. His new armor shatters to pieces, leaving Han Shen sprawled on the floor. Devoured and stunned, Han Shen's mind starts to glitch out. Then his consciousness resets, and a wild system UI pops up. It announces a successful connection right there in his vision. Inside his head, he gets a gift, a skill to stop future mental breaks. He figures it's just an anti-berserker patch, a feature, not a bug. A new quest appears, and he just smashes confirm without reading the details. Back in reality, his eyes snap open. He bolts upright in bed, completely disoriented, heart racing. He demands answers, but his mom is right there, looking absolutely thrilled. She calls him her little murder baby, while dad says they're in academy housing. He's been out cold for 4 hours straight. The pounding in his head confirms it. That system interface was real. Seeing him in pain, his mom instantly shifts into overprotective parent mode. Her first solution to his trauma, offer him milk, a horrifying suggestion. Dad frantically tries to explain that teenagers are way past that milestone, but she insists he is still just a baby, leaving Han Shen trapped. It is some truly weird family drama playing out in front of him. To de-escalate, his dad just asks if he is thirsty. He throws in a creepy wink for good measure. Han Shen politely agrees that some water would be fine. Thank you. With that crisis averted, his dad reminds him he nearly caused a disaster. He recalls the master, Miss Liu, who effortlessly shut down his rampage. Dad gives him the rundown. She is the academy's youngest teacher, notoriously strict. To top it off, she is now his personal mentor. His mom is already complaining about it, but Han Shen is stuck. He is still processing this whole "you are a student now" thing. Mom hands him water, and Dad explains his training starts here. She is already latched onto him for a tearful, suffocating goodbye. Then she whispers some deeply uncomfortable compliments about Miss Liu, horrifying our boy. Later that night, under a full moon, the academy looks pretty epic. He tracks down Miss Liu, who is waiting in the silence. She asks if he is only here to get into the library. Han Shen explains he needs to understand this world. He conveniently leaves out the part about his system quest, so she watches him, clearly trying to figure out what he is hiding. A quick rundown is way better than making him read the entire library. Welcome to the Battle Domain continent, a world overflowing with raw spiritual energy. People here awaken battle armor to gain incredible power. But there's a dark side, evil spirits that condense into monsters called a calamity. Only the armored warriors stand a chance against them. With the world-building lecture over, she leaves him right at the library entrance. Realizing this world is basically a death trap, he gets an idea. Maybe he can find some info on his amnesia in there. With a new mission in mind, he pushes open those massive doors, only to be greeted by a pair of glowing red eyes in the dark. His plan to find a cure immediately hits a massive snag. A giant spirit tiger is lunging straight for his face. He throws up a hand to block, his arm glowing with unexpected power. That only seems to make the giant cat even angrier. But Han Shen holds his ground, ready to throw hands. He's barely holding back the tiger's assault. He already knows he needs his full armor to win this. But a voice suddenly shouts for them to stop. It turns out the library's terrifying guardian is just a pet named Dog Egg. The librarian, Old Zhang, immediately starts apologizing to the Holy Sun. Han Shen just wants to know how his secret identity is already out. Apparently, Miss Liu sent out a school-wide memo about the new kid. He still advises keeping it on the down low from the general student body. That brings Han Shen to the obvious question. Why is there a tiger in the library? Turns out Dog Egg just has a stranger danger protocol. Aside from that, he's just a big softie. With that settled, Han Shen asks about amnesia cures, but hits a dead end. He tries to play it cool, wondering if his past is even worth remembering. The librarian completely misreads that as admiration for his good looks. Old Zhang strikes a pose, basking in the compliment nobody gave him. Han Shen just internally short-circuits from the sheer awkwardness of it all. Despite the weirdness, the old man proves helpful. He guides him to books on world history, and they settle in for a long night. Studying this continent's confusing timeline is a total information dump. He decides to focus on local legends instead. They speak of a day when all the world's evil spirits will just explode. It would plunge the world into a chaos that even armored warriors cannot stop. This book's prophecy shows a world literally being destroyed. Its only hope is a holy son from another world who the crystal will find. Just then, his system UI pops up, quest complete, new skill unlocked. You won't believe it, but Han Shen is actually stunned the gamer interface is real. He immediately asks the librarian if he can see the giant blue screen, floating right there in the air. Old Zhang has absolutely no idea what he is talking about. It confirms Han Shen's not crazy, he's just special. The next day, it is off to the Academy's scenic rear mountain for training. Miss Liu leads him to a field packed with rows of fresh students. She claps her hands, demanding everyone's full attention. She is here to kick off the morning with a quick, simple announcement. Just a casual introduction for our new transfer student, Han Shen. Immediately, the other students start whispering, suspicious about why the head teacher is here. While the girls, they are mostly wondering if the new guy is actually strong. Miss Liu pulls a power move and gives him the VIP spot front and center. She announces today's training is strictly basic, with no armor allowed at all. Honestly, it feels like a total nerf meant just for his benefit. Oh boy is internally screaming. He has only been in this world for one day. Another student correctly guesses the training was softened because the new kid is weak. Two guys nearby are already jealous, convinced Miss Liu is playing favorites. One of them is absolutely fuming, feeling Han Shen is stealing his teacher crush. This new rival is already plotting to take him down, because of course he is. The camera pans over to the training ground sign, "Big drama coming." Miss Liu lays out the drill. Just run through the forest. That is it. And for motivation, the last person to finish gets whipped. A total classic. Everyone screams understood, totally ready for some casual corporal punishment. Han Shen is just processing the whipping part of the orientation with a dead-eyed stare. Miss Liu officially kicks things off, and the entire class immediately stampedes forward. Our boy quickly realizes this is a test of pure speed and endurance, but he is getting absolutely smoked by everyone, even the girls. Based on vague memories of manual labor, he thought he would be in better shape. Yet in this world, he's a total pushover. What are these kids on? Suddenly the course turns upward, scaling a ridiculously steep cliffside. And just for fun, giant boulders start rolling down at them. Han Shen's face says it all. This is definitely not basic training. Meanwhile, the other students are parkouring around the death boulders like it is nothing. It leaves him questioning if a normal human is even supposed to survive this. A giant rock comes to test that theory, aiming straight for his face. But a flying kick suddenly shatters the boulder just before impact. This savior is a girl with twin buns, landing like a total superhero. Han Shen is just shielding his eyes, completely baffled by the assist. She immediately stumbles on the landing, though, completely ruining the cool moment. His savior tells him to stop slacking off just because it is basic training. Then she winks at him, revealing her name is Bazzi. Her stats are not great, and Han Shen is just trying to keep up. This savior lands like a total pro, twin buns swinging, superhero style, and Han Shen just stands there shielding his eyes, looking completely baffled. She ruins the cool entrance instantly, though stumbling hard on her landing. That dramatic moment completely wrecked. The girl tells him to stop slacking just because this is basic training. Then she winks at him, says her name is Bazzi. Her stats are pretty low, and Han Shen realizes his system can finally scan everyone else's stats. He is a little touched that she fell back to help him, but suddenly, a hand clamps down hard on his shoulder. It is that jealous rival from before, offering super creepy encouragement. The guy delivers a fake, unsettling warning about getting whipped today. Then he just vanishes ahead, leaving Han Shen confused and uneasy. Why did his danger sense stay silent despite those bad vibes? Now alone in the jungle, he pulls up his own status window. The system labels his strength as trash, and he is offended. He hopes his armor will fix that just before a massive spinning death disc flies straight for his face. He barely manages to dodge, eating dirt in the process. Then he looks up, a giant swinging log is coming. It rushes right at him, but he dodges that trap successfully too. That earns him 100 experience points, which immediately gets his gears turning. He can actually level up here. His moment of inspiration is cut short as his eyes go wide. Sharp pain hits his shoulder, and the system announces he is poisoned. He clutches the spot, trying to process what just happened. Then he realizes it was that friendly pat from the rival. The poison has barely set in when he hears another trap. Deep in the woods, a volley of arrows aims for his face. He takes one to the shoulder, and the system adds insult. To injury, 0 experience points for his trouble. But he dodges the next 2, finally getting some pity points. The poison is slowing his reaction time, making this death run harder. Just as he processes that, a sound makes his eyes go wide. A massive spiked gate is dropping right on his head. Lovely, right? But then the system conveniently announces the poison is cured. Talk about clutch timing. With his full speed back, he dodges. He banks another 100 experience points, landing safely away. Feeling pretty good about himself, he is back in top shape. Now he is confident he can just farm his way through this. He dives right back into the academy version of a jog, weaving through arrow traps like a pro and racking up points. He even clears a classic spike pit, because why not? The kid is fully embracing the grind, making the most of it. Getting snagged by thorns does not even stop him anymore. He knows every hit leads to a potential upgrade. A giant flail comes swinging in. Han Shen is ready. He is using the system to its full potential now. Notifications start flooding his screen. It is a total experience bonanza. All that grinding finally pays off as a golden light surrounds him. The system announces a level up for his armor. He can already feel the power growing within him. He feels it now, a subtle but definite power boost. It's coursing through his veins, this level up infusing his entire body with a fresh surge of raw force. Plus, his stats are climbing. And get this, a new skill. He can summon skeleton soldiers. Han Shen is a little confused, but definitely intrigued by his necromancer starter pack. It summons two minions that scale with him. Best of all, no armor needed. He inspects the ability, figuring it is just a basic summoning spell. It also confirms his theory that some skills are armor exclusive. With his newfound confidence, he spots that jealous rival up ahead. Finally, it is payback time. The rival is still fuming that his poison and trap combo failed so spectacularly. He is scrambling for answers when Han Shen silently appears. Right behind him, whoops, the guy turns to see Han Shen giving him that same creepy look. I will take care of you. Before he can try that poison trick again, his wrist is caught in a flash. Our boy calls him out for using the same lame move twice. Just embarrassing. And there it is, a hidden poison needle in his ring, a classic scumbag move. The rival immediately tries to backpedal, claiming it is all a big misunderstanding. But Han Shen's response is a swift punch to the face. No time for excuses. He confiscates the ring, coolly telling the guy he is done playing these pathetic games. On the ground, the rival whines that he has never been hit before. Cry me a river. Another impact shows Han Shen is not done putting this guy in his place. Now the rival is absolutely losing it, screaming about how dare Han Shen fight back. His furious counterattack is stopped cold by Han Shen's open palm, not even a challenge. The rival's attack is completely stonewalled, sparking a massive shockwave. He is shocked that the new kid is not a total pushover. Han Shen, meanwhile, is just glad his recent level up came in clutch. The rival tosses the ring aside, ready to get serious, and starts posturing like he is some kind of final boss. He pulls the "Do you know who I am" card royalty. Of course, our boy's response is a masterclass in not giving a single crap, deciding this is the perfect chance to test his new skills, and feeling lazy, he decides to outsource the work. His system activates the new skill, Skeleton Soldiers. Level 1 and 2, spooky minions pop into existence. Ready for a fight, he quickly checks their stats. Not amazing, but they will do the job. These guys look pretty intimidating for a starter summon, even if their defense is basically paper. The rival is understandably losing his mind over the sudden necromancy. With a simple command, Han Shen sends his new friends to play. In a flash, the skeletons are on the move. One of them launches a massive overhead swing at the bully, who barely dodges the bone-crushing attack. He realizes these summons are as strong as students in full armor. Whoops, the rival stares down a skeleton ready to cleave him in two. It's massive. Swing barely misses, sending the guy flying backward. He panics and finally summons his own battle armor to even the odds, but Han Shen's spooky boys are just getting warmed up. A quick scan reveals the rival's name is Yan, and his stats are pretty underwhelming. Still, he zips forward with poison daggers, going on the offensive and unleashing a flurry of poison-laced slashes at the summons. He's super confident his double poison is unbeatable, except the skeletons just stand there, completely unimpressed. Yan has a shocking revelation: skeletons are immune to poison. Who knew? Now he's back to dodging for his life as the summons close in, finally, realizing he should probably just attack the summoner instead. But when he looks for Han Shen, our boy is just gone. A skeleton pops up right behind him for a little surprise party because Han Shen literally just walked away. He's already back to grinding, dodging more traps for that sweet experience points. He decides he cannot waste time on trash right before a new quest pops up. The system is talking about a mandatory teleportation quest. Han Shen tries to tell his own interface to hold on a sec, but a teleport circle immediately appears, ready to yank him out of there. This teleportation ends with a single leaf hitting the ground, and Han Shen finds himself dropped into a dark, stony chamber. His eyes narrow, already on high alert in this new place, which turns out to be a massive, creepy-looking cavern. A single lit path leads forward, beckoning him into the unknown. He is clearly not thrilled about this mandatory side quest. This path opens into a strange circular room with a pit in the center, leaving Han Shen wondering what his system is even thinking right now. A system prompt tells him to just walk to the middle, no big deal. So he trusts it right before it announces his armor is blocked and he is frozen solid. He's completely immobilized, a classic it's not a bug, it's a feature moment. From a drain in the floor, a giant centipede makes its grand entrance, followed by literally hundreds of its closest, crawliest friends. Han Shen's face is a perfect picture of nope. Right as a tide of scorpions decides to join the party too. Oh, and snakes. Because this place is apparently an evil petting zoo. The system finally clarifies this is the trial of poison, which feels a little late, as the swarm of venomous critters starts crawling all over his paralyzed body. He is in absolute agony as they start biting and stinging him. And all he can do is scream while a scorpion goes right for his face. Han Shen screams at the system, demanding to know why it is torturing him and his system. System alerts are spamming him with poison warnings, and yeah, it's not looking good. His vision starts glitching out, eyes glowing with this wild, unstable light. He's enduring absolute agony as a massive surge of raw energy courses right through his body, adding to the torment. Finally, the pain gets to him. He stumbles. His body is giving out, and he hits the floor hard. Every single vein is on fire with a dozen different poisons. It feels like his insides are being shredded and his lungs are tearing apart. The suffering is so extreme, he actually wonders if he's trapped in a nightmare. Both his body and his will are pushed to their absolute breaking point. It's reached the point where dying feels like a sweet, final release. Then his mind suddenly flashes back to a snowy street and a terrible accident. A massive crane cable snaps, just like that. It crushed a worker who's somehow still hanging onto his breath. Everyone is panicking, screaming to get the guy to a hospital immediately. The person trapped under all that cold steel is a much younger Han Shen. But the memory shifts. Now it's a dark, snowy forest, someone exhausted from digging. Turns out, his supposed rescuers never planned on going to the hospital at all. Since he's an orphan, they decide no one will ever miss him. They just leave the kid for dead in a shallow, frozen grave, figuring absolutely no one in the whole world would care if he just vanished. But just like that, a system prompt pops up, the poison is neutralized. And his poison resistance gets a nice, well-earned upgrade for all his trouble. This whole ordeal makes Han Shen reflect on his past life. He realizes he was just an ant back then, but now he's got the power to change it. He finally puts it together. The system threw him into that hellscape just to train him. So, with new resolve, he basically tells it to bring on the pain, and the system is happy to comply. It announces the mission is over and drops him into a misty, moonlit forest. He's right back where he was before the system so rudely interrupted his grind, and he looks up, wondering just how long he was actually gone. A sudden rustle in the bushes immediately puts him on high alert. Out pops some random dude who looks way too happy to see him. He grabs Han Shen, asking if he's okay, and introduces himself as Song. This guy immediately starts shouting to everyone else that he's found him, leaving Han Shen completely bewildered. By this sudden, loud welcome party, next thing you know, he's back at his residence. Under a starry sky, two people are questioning him, clearly finding his story super suspicious, speculating it was all just poison or some kind of illusion. But hey, at least he isn't hurt, right? Then the pink-haired girl asks a question. Did he run into a student named Song Yunjin? Our boy just plays dumb, asking who the heck that even is. Turns out, Song Yunjin was just some annoying creep who was hitting on a teacher. Then Song drops the bomb. They found the rival's body before they found Han Shen. Han Shen is absolutely floored by that. Realizing the guy he unleashed his skeletons on is actually dead, he holds his ground, claiming he was hurt and out of action all day. But the lead questioner isn't buying it. He deduces two attackers were there. That pink-haired girl chimes in, noting this stain on the Academy record. She shoots a death glare his way, promising they will track the culprit down. Han Shen just keeps his cool, not saying a single word out loud. But inside, he is absolutely panicking. Oh no, I am so in trouble, he thinks, as they finally let him be. Alone in his room, he pours some tea to process this entire mess. Did his own skeletons go rogue? He never gave any kill order. To find the truth, he decides it is time for a chat with his staff. With a sharp command, he tells them to show themselves right now. His spooky boys pop into the room, waiting for their review. Han Shen gets straight to the point. Did they kill those men in the forest? The skeletons just nod, like it was the most obvious thing ever. Our boy gets a full-on migraine right there on the spot. He never told his murder hobo minions to kill a soul. They just look at each other, totally clueless about their massive screw-up. He makes them kowtow, trying to drill some basic manners into them. Finally, he screams the new rule, no killing without a direct order. You understand, the skeletons are on their knees, getting the full bad employee treatment. He dismisses them, noting his minions are strong but have zero brains. Right on cue, the system drops another mandatory quest on him. No rest for the wicked. Oh boy is so done with this, wondering when he will ever catch a break. A glowing path appears, basically telling him to follow the shiny blue dots. They lead him right up to a set of fancy wooden doors. These open to a path outside, leaving him to wonder where this trip is headed. He gets a bad feeling, praying this is not a trial by torture sequel. This little stroll takes him across the academy grounds under a full moon. His destination, a totally not creepy room filled with morgue slabs. The system unceremoniously dumps him right into the middle of the floor. Then a prompt announces pathfinding complete. Like this is just some normal GPS destination. He realizes the quest was to sneak into this morgue through the skylight grate. A grim understanding dawns on him as he connects the dots. The system awards him 1000 XP for reaching Yijuan College. That is the morgue's official name, by the way. In the silent room, he notices a single body covered by a white sheet. Now watch this, the moment of truth. With a sense of dread, he reaches out to see who is hiding underneath. He pulls back the cloth, already having a pretty good idea who he will find. And yep, it is really him. Reaches out to see who this really is, pulling back the cloth. He's got a good feeling about it already, and yep, it's actually him. The rival from the forest, Song Yunjin, drops his guard, and the reality of the situation finally hits. The system rewards Han Shen for the brutal takedown with a new skeleton and an armor skill. Immediately, a fresh minion appears, leaving Han Shen totally confused. He stares, wondering why his newer skeleton looks like a shirtless, green-skinned Fabio. Then, a prompt pops up. Does he want to extract the nearby battle armor? Oh, the convenience. Han Shen puts it together. Armor extraction. His eyes narrow as he realizes exactly where the gear is located. He activates the skill. You cannot let a good corpse go to waste. With a crackle of blue energy, he starts yanking the gear right off Song Yunjin. The system gets to work, literally stripping the dead guy for parts. The extracted armor begins equipping itself to his new skeleton. His new soldier looks absolutely decked out, complete with poison blades and a D+ rating. But Han Shen tables the naming ceremony to ask a more important question. What is his army cap? The system reveals he can hold up to 100,000 infantry skeletons. Oh boy is understandably floored by that number. It gets better. He can have 100,000 of 5 different types. That is a grand total of 500,000 murder hobos. The next day, things at the academy seemed deceptively peaceful and scenic. After the incident, security got a major buff and the students finally calmed down. His aunt and uncle visit, doting on him with a huge, home-cooked meal. But he is still struggling with the affection, unable to call them mom and dad. Despite the personal drama and recent murder, training at the academy continues as normal. Han Shen is keeping pace with his classmates, deciding to keep his skeleton army on the down low. But he knows he cannot just rely on his minions. He has got to level up his own gear. This academy training course is a breeze, though it is giving him 0 experience points for his trouble. Actual sparring, however, is where he is getting all his real combat practice in. There is just one weird problem. For some reason, he cannot equip a helmet, and nobody knows why. Over time, he even starts getting along with his classmates, lizard pranks, and awe. He learns some of them are just nobles slumming it, but they are not the ones who will fight when things get real. 3 months fly by, and the academy's first 5-day vacation finally arrives. His new friends are all excited to go home, asking Han Shen about his plans. And our boy admits he has nowhere to go since he is still a stranger in this world. A classmate kindly invites him over for steamed buns, but he politely turns her down. Just then, some old dude pops out of a bush, yelling that a carriage is here for him. He is understandably weirded out, asking the guy why he is lurking in the shrubbery. That carriage, it isn't just any ride. It is a signal that his life is about to shift again. Still slumming it, but they aren't the ones handling the real fighting. 3 months fly by, and finally, the academy's first 5-day vacation arrives. His friends are buzzing about home, asking Han Shen what his plans are. And our boy just admits it. He's got nowhere to go. Still feeling like a total stranger here, a classmate kindly offers him some steamed buns, but he politely turns her down. Suddenly, some old dude just pops out of a bush, shouting that a carriage is waiting for him. He's understandably weirded out, asking why the guy is lurking in the shrubbery. This carriage. The driver drops him off in bustling Fu Town, right by his school. They pull up to a massive estate. The driver calls him young master. Han Shen steps out, looking a little bit out of his element. He's never been here, taking in the fancy surroundings, until he notices the estate belongs to the Han family. Just like him, a flicker of suspicion crosses his face as he puts it together. The massive gates to the Han residence swing wide to welcome him. A woman who must be his aunt comes flying at him for a hug. But his combat reflexes kick in, sending her face first into the pavement. So naturally, the uncle smacks him for dodging his mom's loving hug. Then the aunt gets up and smacks the uncle for hitting her son. It is a whole thing. Thankfully, a cousin steps in to play peacemaker. Before this gets any weirder, the aunt is back to doting on him. She drags him toward the dinner table while the chaos continues. All this happens in the surprisingly serene Han family estate. They sit him down in front of a massive feast, telling him this is home. At the table with his uncle, Han Shen asks where his aunt disappeared to. She is apparently still in the kitchen, cooking up even more food just for him. Han Shen is trying to process all this sudden affection. It leaves him and his uncle sitting in the most awkward silence imaginable. Our boy is just wondering if all father-son relationships are this uncomfortable. This uncle decides to clear the room, dismissing all the servants. With a sharp clap, he sends them away, then clenches his fist, getting real serious all of a sudden, and then he just drops to his knees, bowing right in front of Han Shen, who is completely floored. Han Shen tells the guy to get up, but the uncle starts begging, calling him the Holy Son and asking for a massive favor. Han Shen is left staring, completely lost as to what is even happening. The uncle explains his wife has been broken ever since their child died. He begs Han Shen to just call her mother to make her happy. Now watch this, here is where our boy has to decide what to do. So you want me to humor a crazy person? He thinks. Outside, the aunt is insisting on handling all the chores herself for her son. He has brought a smile to her face for the first time in years. In her mind, he is just the absolute best son in the world, which is the perfect time for an armored goon to drop out of the sky. This guy makes a full-on superhero landing, crashing into the courtyard, revealing a very punchable, villainous grin under that helmet. Back at the table, the peaceful family vibe is officially over. A servant runs in, screaming that the lady of the house has been kidnapped. This uncle absolutely loses it, panicking about how this could happen, especially in their own town, and Shen watches the guy blaming himself. He is spiraling, regretting not hiring guards when he had the chance. He wonders how this happened in their town, and Chen catches the guy, who's now blaming himself for not hiring any guards. His first genius idea is to call for backup, then he stops. He slaps himself. That is a great way to get his wife killed. In the chaos, a servant realizes the young master has vanished. A shot of the rooftop shows Han. Shen is already gone. The uncle has a tearful epiphany. Wait, is not my son a superpowered warrior? Han Shen is already leaping across the city like a man on a mission, activating his aura tracking to hunt down the kidnappers. No time to waste. His aura tracking locks onto his aunt, a familiar beacon in the chaos. The trail leads him far outside of town into some seriously remote woodlands. The local wildlife is just having a peaceful, non-kidnapping related day. Han Shen crashed the party, landing hard as he sprints through the forest. A grim realization hits him. Her aura has stopped moving and is fading fast. He finds the source is a secluded cave, wondering what kind of trap this is. Inside, the place is dark and practically screaming ambush. But with her life on the line, he has no choice but to walk right in. He enters a cavern lit by an eerie glow from bioluminescent mushrooms. It is way bigger than he expected, perfect for armored goons to hide. Suddenly, his senses flare up as he spots something ahead, finding his aunt sitting there completely alone and unconscious. He rushes to her side, relieved she only fainted. But a massive hoof stomps down, announcing they have company, a giant, demonic-looking boar. Because of course it is. The system helpfully chimes in that this spirit beast wants to eat him. Thanks for the heads up. His first thought is to draw the monster away, protecting his aunt at all costs. With a quick leap, he puts himself right in the beast's path. He summons a glowing halberd from thin air, ready for a fight. Then he dives in, driving his weapon straight down at the monster's head. Han Shen quickly realizes this demon boar is way out of his league. Now it is in rampage mode, doubling its attack power. Just perfect. He knows he can still win. But a fresh wound on his shoulder isn't helping. His priority shifts to getting his aunt out of the cave immediately. But someone is standing at the exit, looking suspiciously okay. A sudden thought hits him. He had totally forgotten the housekeeper was kidnapped too. Except she is not unconscious. This whole situation is screaming ambush. Right on cue, the armored goon steps out from behind her, confirming the trap. Han Shen can only yell as the betrayal becomes crystal clear. This housekeeper just smirks, telling her armored pal to get on with it. Her partner obliges, slamming his weapon down with incredible force, which brings the entire cave entrance crashing down in a rock slide. Those two traitors are having a good laugh about their little scheme, while Han Shen internally promising them a truly brutal end. But things get worse. His summoned halberd suddenly shatters. Disarmed, he gently lays his unconscious aunt aside. He shields her with his body because that giant, angry boar is still very much in the room. He leans in close, whispering, he will get her home safe, but the boar cuts the moment short by charging right at them, leaving Han Shen to face the monster head-on, completely trapped and defenseless. Han Shen finally calls for his real backup, and his skeleton army instantly swarms the demon boar from every single side. Their lead warrior lands a solid slash with a glowing green sword, putting the beast face to face with a fully armored undead general. A whole legion of skeletal soldiers materializes in the cave, ready for blood. Suddenly, that giant boar looks a lot less intimidating, actually sweating. Han Shen orders a quick finish, reminding them they have traitors waiting outside. With a collective roar, his undead army charges to overwhelm their target. Outside, the housekeeper is smugly certain a mere student couldn't survive that beast. Her armored partner is more cautious, not wanting his months of planning to fail. But she insists a complicated accident is the perfect cover. Turns out she is a distant relative set to inherit everything before Han Shen showed up, so naturally she has decided to sacrifice her own cousin for the family fortune. This armored goon just wants his money, warning her not to mess up his payment. Suddenly, the rocks slide. The cause begins to shake violently. Both traitors are startled, whipping around to face the sealed cave entrance. Cracks of purple energy blast through the wall of rocks, making the goon realize in horror the kid might be alive. The entire rock slide explodes outward in a massive burst of purple power, sending both our genius villains flying backward from the shockwave. This armored goon starts taunting the rubble, demanding Han Shen come out and play, but the first thing to emerge is the demon boar. It looks absolutely furious. The goon just scoffs, asking if it really thinks it can match him. The boar answers by charging straight for the two traitors. Just then, someone calmly steps out from behind the beast, revealing Han Shen looking very much alive and not at all impressed. The goon tries to play it cool, assuming our boy must be totally exhausted after that fight. But his smug expression vanishes when he sees who is following him out of the cave, because Han Shen's entire skeleton army is marching out right behind him. His partner quickly identifies them as summons, trying to downplay the undead legion and the armored. The goon just brushes off the frontline troops, totally dismissive. He sizes up the general, admitting he's a bit tougher, but still no match for him. So with his confidence back, he declares, today is the day Han Shen finally goes down. Our boy just keeps equipping gear. He pulls up his offhand items through the system prompt, immediately follows it up by drawing his main hand weapon, the mercenary Fin Kia, readies his own axe and shield, promising to tear them all apart. Han Shen's system serves up a brand new mission: eliminate the evil mercenary. He accepts without a second thought. The system confirms it. The killing begins. Fin Kia gives the order to charge, digging in for a powerful rush, only to get immediately swarmed by the undead soldiers, who easily block his attack. Then, a brutal shield slam instantly crushed one of the skeleton soldiers. A second one goes down just as easily, taking critical damage. He's laughing, gloating that he knew those two were the weakest. But the undead general is already on him, striking from behind with poisoned blades, making this guy whine about such cowardly sneak attacks. The irony is lost on him. He finally realizes he's been poisoned, much to Han Shen's satisfaction. So his brilliant plan is to just kill everyone before the poison kicks in. The system helpfully reminds Han Shen he can keep summoning more skeletons, so our boy calmly calls for another wave of backup. Right on cue, two more undead soldiers pop into existence, leaving Fin Kia completely stunned by the endless reinforcements. He goes full rage mode, activating all his power for a final desperate push, but Han Shen just smirks, telling him his strength is pointless because he's about to be trapped in a never-ending fight. The mercenary calls him an arrogant brat. His confidence clearly shattered as the general lands another sneak attack. Overwhelming his defenses, his shield finally starts to crack under the relentless pressure. And over in the woods, the housekeeper is having a full-blown meltdown, thinking she should just cut her losses and run for it. Then she remembers the inheritance. Greed wins out. Now it's kill or be killed. With a powerful leap, Han Shen launches himself forward, coming down on Fan Kia like a bolt from the sky. But the mercenary throws up a last-ditch energy barrier to block, still convinced the poison should have drained all of Han Shen's power by now, except our boys. Halberd just smashes right through, shattering the guy's axe. Fan Kia finally gets it. The poison has slowed his reactions way down before he can even process that Han Shen is right in his face, grabbing the traitor's helmet. With one hand, he just casually lifts the fully armored goon clean off the ground, which prompts some very predictable. He keeps whining how dare he am throwing at the classic threats. He belongs to a massive mercenary group, and his brothers will totally come for revenge, so he better think twice. Han Shen's response? A silent, glowing purple flash that leaves Fan Kyo's head flying through the air in utter disbelief. His last coherent thought is just pure shock. His head is no longer attached, seeing Han Shen standing over his body, completely unfazed. Our boy turns his back. He's already done with this mess, even as the traitor's final thought is that this kid isn't an ordinary person. No kidding. With that, his lights go out for good. The system immediately confirms the kill, rewarding Han Shen with a level up and stronger skeletons. Han Shen's system doles out the loot, including a brand new skeleton, mage, and just like that, 2 hooded casters pop into existence, ready to fight. This system then offers a fun little bonus, looting the armor off the corpse, which our boy accepts without a moment's hesitation. Young, dark energy just strips the gear right off the dead mercenary, with the system confirming the magical reposition is in progress. Then it announces the gear is being transferred to one of his skeletons, and boom, instant upgrade. One of his grunts is now a fully armored tank, Han Shen size, realizing he has to come up with names for his whole crew now, so he draws inspiration from some old military books he has read. His general gets dubbed Stormbringer, complete with a nice agility buff, while the title Frontbreaker is for a defensive powerhouse. That newly armored tank gets the name. Along with his own stat boost, he's got 2 more titles in mind, starting with General Slea, followed by Flag Capture for future specialized units he might summon. Meanwhile, the housekeeper is watching from the bushes, realizing her plan is toast, and she is absolutely livid that her inheritance and her down payment are gone. Her first instinct is to cut her losses and book it, but someone has other plans, putting a blade right to her throat. Turns out, Stormbringer is a lot faster than she is, and he's not letting her go. Han Shen doesn't even wait, kicking the housekeeper right to the ground. From her new worm's eye view, she hears him declare that it is over. She immediately starts begging, pulling the I'm your aunt card for sympathy, then pivots to blaming the dead mercenary, claiming he forced her into it. Her sob story is truly pathetic, playing the helpless woman role for all it is worth. But Han Shen is just not buying it. Knowing she's treating him like an idiot, she swears she will never do it again, promising to be a model family member now. While our boy's face remains completely, terrifyingly blank. This total lack of a reaction sends her into a panicked scramble. She's scrambling for a new excuse, pivoting to full-on begging, pleading for her life, promising to vanish forever. Han Shen finally speaks. He agrees with one thing: she is unforgivable. That's all he needs. He's weighing his options, planning to grill her for any lingering accomplices. But his new skeleton, Frontbreaker, doesn't wait for permission. It executes her mid-thought. Well, that's one way to solve the problem. Han Shen stares. He's completely baffled as his minion stands there over the corpse. Mission accomplished, it thinks. Meanwhile, Han Shen is internally screaming. He wasn't finished talking yet. He turns to his tank, wondering exactly what in the world he was thinking. Frontbreaker's explanation is a masterpiece, a crude drawing of it hearing the word unforgivable. Our boy is just trying to process this, repeating the command back to himself. Then he absolutely explodes. Furious that the skeleton drew him looking so hideous, he finally gets a grip, realizing his summons desperately need better training. Before they wreck his plans, after that chaos, we learn his skeletons apparently double as medics, stabilizing his auntie. With her out of danger, Han Shen starts carrying her home through the woods. She's completely out of it, just dead weight on his back until she finally wakes up, asking where she is. He calls her mother. Her memory of the entire kidnapping ordeal is wiped clean, though she definitely caught that one little detail he just dropped. It leads to a super wholesome moment. He promises to call her that forever, refusing to put her down, insisting he's a big, strong boy now, back at the estate. A servant spots them and starts shouting the news, bringing the master of the house running out in a total panic. They have a touching reunion right there in the courtyard. Her first priority is food, while he's fussing over her. She's just demanding meat. Gotta respect that energy. Just then, an official-looking guy named Chiziwan steps forward, wanting answers. Dad whispers that he actually called the sheriff. You know, just in case Han Shen failed miserably. Then he asks about the missing housekeeper, which Han Shen expertly deflects because the sheriff is suddenly getting way too close for comfort. His first question isn't even about the crime, but about the filthy things following Han Shen, leaving our boy totally confused, wondering if this guy is a cop or an exorcist. Then the sheriff's hand starts glowing with righteous energy and he goes full-on battle mode, demanding Han Shen's invisible entourage show itself. Han Shen is just baffled by this guy's sudden murderous rage as the sheriff launches an energy blast right at him, which smacks hard into one of his invisible skeleton bodyguards. Our boy is completely thrown, not sure what just happened, until a new guy appears, complaining. The sheriff explains he sensed a hidden aura in that filthy thing, a dark connection to those recent student attacks. But this new instructor, Ko Tinjin, claims he is actually here to secretly protect Han Shen. Han Shen's face just screams, "You have been stalking me this whole time." And the guy has the nerve to wink, saying he has seen all his little secrets, which means the whole skeleton army thing is officially compromised. Then the sheriff calls him out for using invisibility to spy on girls bathing. What a total creep. Suddenly, the sheriff holds a finger to his ear, announcing he is getting a call. He walks off to chat, leaving everyone confused. Han Shen wonders if he is using some telepathy skill, but Ko Tinjin explains it is just a fancy ear communicator from the academy. He even gives a little presentation on the magical tech, and Han Shen's only takeaway is, oh, so it is just a Bluetooth headset. The call ends, and the sheriff announces he is off to fight a monster 100 miles away. He zips up to the roof for a dramatic exit, then invites Han Shen along for a field trip. No time to waste. Han Shen just stares up, completely baffled that the sheriff is actually flying. His new bodyguard smugly explains it is a high-level skill he is not ready for. Before he can even process that little jab, the sheriff grabs his arm and yanks him into the sky for a 100-mile trip. No questions asked. Our boy's mind is just racing, realizing his grandpa's books left out some major details. They soar over a massive, beautiful lake. It feels way too peaceful for what is coming next. In seconds, the whole crew touches down on the shore, finding the place littered with shipwrecks and reeking of a monstrous aura. The sheriff confirms the worst. Entire villages around this lake have been wiped out. Han Shen's eyes go wide as the scale of the massacre finally hits him. Just then, a pale hand breaks. The surface of the water, a look below reveals a horrifying graveyard of human and animal remains. He realizes with dawning horror that this is just the monster's scrap pile. This thing does not kill for food, the sheriff explains. It just kills everything it sees. So yeah, they are not hunting a beast. They are hunting something much, much worse, which brings up a tiny problem. How do you lure at a monster you cannot fight in the water? Ko-Tingen, the instructor, chimes in that he has an idea, though he immediately follows up by saying it is probably a bad one. His genius plan starts with kicking an old wooden barrel into the lake. The bad idea, it is using Han Shen as live bait. What a great mentor. The sheriff casually dismisses any concerns about using Han Shen as bait, arguing it is a great learning opportunity for the kid. Sink or swim, I guess. Meanwhile, our boy realizes his skeleton army is completely useless, facing an aquatic threat, and he's just sitting there in a barrel, looking like a total snack until his senses snap to attention. Something massive lurks right below, a sea beast the size of a moon. It erupts from the depths, jaws snapping shut where he just was. Shen launches himself into the air, perfectly timing his escape. He uses some poor fish creature's head as a convenient springboard. He glances back at his mentors, hoping they might finally step in. Nope, looks like he's handling this solo. He summons his weapon. Perfect timing to test his new gear. He balances on a massive halberd. The reflection of the weapon hits that giant, glowing red eye. Then he slams it down, the force of a falling meteor. The beast roars, covered in dark energy as the blade bites deep. Shen grips the shaft with every ounce of strength he has. He can feel that attack power boost, but the weapon starts to bend. The strain is too much, so he cleverly triggers a recall to escape. He flings himself backward, soaring toward the safety of the shore. He lands clean, declaring that the land is his true domain. His hand is already glowing, crackling with raw golden energy. A massive, brilliant sigil forms right beneath his feet. He slams his palm down, pouring everything into the ground. An armored spearman pops into existence to face the monster. The sheriff watches, smugly noting the beast wasn't that strong. But he's still sweating. This is way too much for a first-year student. Without waiting for the debate to end, the monster lunges again. It's aiming to turn the new summon into a quick, bony appetizer. Now the sheriff is panicking, sure the kid's about to get flattened. But Ko-Tingen just smirks, telling him this kid is full of surprises. Han Shen screams for the rest of his cavalry to show up. His first summon bravely tanks a face full of teeth with a shield. The sheriff's eyes are bugging out. A whole squad of skeletons just appeared. They're stabbing the beast from all sides, relentless and fast. One of them is even landing shots with paralyzing poison darts. Now watch this. That tactical touch is about to change everything. The beast gets a face full of venom, courtesy of the ranged unit. Then a skeletal hand starts glowing with high-tier healing magic. He's got a skeleton cleric on standby. That is a perfect party composition. This completely breaks the sheriff's brain, and honestly, I get it. He points out most warriors get to summons max, and he's spiraling. Ko-Tingen just smiles, admitting he had the same reaction at first. He adds that Han Shen is still low level, so imagine the future chaos. Meanwhile, the monster inhales deeply. It's charging something nasty. It fires off a huge beam of toxic green energy, dead set on destruction. Han Shen realizes in a split second that it's aimed right at his healer. A classic boss move, and he isn't going to let it happen. Without a single thought, he leaps in front to take the hit himself, getting absolutely blasted by the raw power of that massive attack. But he just holds up a hand, totally unfazed, as the energy dissipates. He tells his cleric to keep healing the tank, promising to keep them safe. His two skeleton healers just stare at each other, completely moved by the gesture, and then they start blushing. Because of course the skeletons are blushing now, even busting out fangirl signs. calling him awesome and pledging eternal loyalty. Their morale is now officially through the roof, powered by pure adoration. Han Shen has to tell his new fan club to stop the flattering him and get back to work. He is back to business, ordering his two spearmen to attack the beast's weak spot, then sending a flanker to ambush from behind. This kid is a natural strategist, and the sheriff is just gobsmacked by this first year's performance, while Coach Yanjin smugly asks for his professional opinion on our boy. The sheriff admits he is not just a warrior, he's a full-blown commander. And the battle rages on across the once peaceful lake. One of his skeletons lands a solid stab right into the monster's tail as the main tank blocks a massive tail whip with its shield and axe, its bony hands straining under the force, but the line is holding firm. Han Shen drives his halberd straight through the monster's skull, ending it for good, and the sheriff cannot believe he just watched a rookie one-shot a high-level beast. With the battle over, Han Shen looks completely unfazed by the whole thing. The system rewards him with experience points and a treasure chest he cannot even open yet. Classic game logic. Our boy is justifiably annoyed at the level-gated loot, and as his golden battle armor dissipates, the fight is officially won. But then the monster's corpse starts dissolving into weird black smoke, vanishing completely and leaving behind a couple of shiny blue crystals. He cautiously reaches down to grab the loot drop, noticing the crystal holds some kind of pure, unfamiliar energy. Just then, his mentors show up to explain it is a battle crystal, which are apparently spirit stones, perfect for enchanting gear. So Coach Yanjin volunteers the sheriff for a little enchanting demonstration. What a helpful guy. The sheriff scoffs that enchanting is advanced stuff, admitting he could not even master it himself. That is when Coach Yanjin calls him out for an unpaid enchanting bill. Awkward? Changing the subject, the sheriff tells Han Shen to hand over the goods, then announces his specialty as weapons and begins the ritual, power crackling around him. This raw energy pouring out of this guy just stuns Han Shen as the crystal seems to fuse directly into his halberd, glowing intensely, and a massive flash of light signals the upgrade is complete. The sheriff tosses back the halberd, calling the upgrade a low-grade freebie, but Han Shen is already geeking out over the massive stat boost. With his focus sharpened, his mind immediately jumps to enchanting. He pictures his entire armor set upgraded, imagining the possibilities. But the sheriff quickly kills that vibe by mentioning the cost. High-grade stones are crazy expensive, and Han Shen knows it. He gets a devious look, remembering his family's deep pockets. Just like that, he is back at the Han family estate. He is ready to hit up the bank of dad, but his father is suspicious. The old man demands to know why he needs a fortune overnight. Our boy puts on his sweetest, most innocent I am a good son face. It works like a charm. His father caves instantly. Dad tearfully hands over the cash, and Han Shen accepts with a giant smile. But then his mother steps in with a very serious condition. She makes him promise not to use the money for anything evil. It is a reasonable request, so he smoothly claims it is just for enchanting. Gear to fight monsters, honestly, it is a totally noble cause. His dad is just confused, pointing out their family is in the spirit stone business. In fact, the Han family basically owns the entire operation. They control everything from the deep mines to the local banks. So his dad tells him to keep the cash as an allowance. Must be nice. A few days later, the holiday ends and he returns to Scenic Mountain Academy. Han Shen trudges up the stairs, looking absolutely wiped out from the trip. He really just wanted spirit stones, but his mom packed a boulder-sized care package. He spots his mentor just passed out on the steps. Now watch this peak supervision right there. He finds his teacher totally conked out on the stairs. A true professional. But then he realizes the truth. This is not his mentor at all, but someone else entirely. As he looks again, the guy vanishes, making him question his own sanity. Suddenly, a student with slicked back hair starts poking his giant sack of stuff. He offers to help with the heavy load, which feels incredibly suspicious. Han Shen's internal alarm bells are screaming that something is wrong. The stranger asks if he is from the Western Academy. That name clearly carries some weight around here. Our boy has no clue what he is talking about, which seems to surprise the guy. So he asks if it is just another one of these warrior schools. This student, Makun, explains it is a rival academy from a whole other continent. For some mysterious reason, all their first years were summoned here. Then Makun offers to stash his giant care package in a space bag. Oh, what now? Apparently, it is a personal inventory, as long as you don't stuff living things inside. With a little ball of purple energy, he starts the process. He sucks the entire boulder-sized bag into a tiny vortex in his hand. Han Shen's mind is completely blown by this magic trick. Makun casually explains it as a perk you unlock at Human King 5th level. Our boy immediately starts calculating how to get there. Just 2 more levels. He is so close to unlocking his own inventory slot. When someone asks why he is sleeping on the stairs, Kun admits to a late night poker game. A real scholar, right? Finally, they head up the mountain together. They arrive at the training grounds. Back at the academy, a massive student assembly is already underway. A pink-haired instructor announces that today is different, revealing they have special guests. The students from the Western Academy arrive. Han Shen immediately starts sizing them up, mostly just curious about their armor. This instructor then spots 2 adults in the back. Assuming they are the rival teachers, one of them is Yulia, a teacher whose energy feels incredibly strong, but the old man beside her has no aura at all. A classic sign of a true master. He looks like an absolute unit. He is the strongest person on the field, except he is completely asleep. Complete with a giant snot bubble, a finger slowly moves in to pop the bubble of his profound dignity. It is one of their own elders, busting him for that late-night poker game. These 2 esteemed masters immediately start bickering like children, trading insults about old age while everyone just stares. Finally, the instructor tells the elder, Old Jiang, to get on with his speech. So he steps up, introducing himself as the humble librarian and also the part-time principal, Ji Hongtai, as his true power flares to life. 2 students are absolutely horrified, especially the one who admits he once pulled the principal's beard. Han Shen's friend smugly claims he knew the guy's true identity all along. So our boy asks if the principal is his grandfather or something. His friend delivers the ultimate flex. No, I am his grandfather. Han Shen is just not buying it, telling his friend to quit messing with him. But Zaya-sung explains the principal literally calls his mom ancestor talk about an old family tree. That is apparently how he landed his cushy teaching assistant gig, dropping some serious wisdom that connections are just as important as strength. Back at the assembly, the mood across the Scenic Academy is about to change as the principal announces a joint operation that doubles as a promotion exam. Then he drops the bomb. Anyone who fails gets expelled. So, no pressure. The students are immediately panicking, wondering what the hell this exam is. But the principal just gives them 3 days to get ready for the big reveal. Han Shen and his well-connected friend are looking pretty tense about this whole thing when the Western principal reminds Old Jiang he forgot to mention something. So Neo announces the top performers get a 1-year exchange trip to the Western Academy. Old Jiang plays it cool, pretending he was just about to say that, a likely story. One of the Eastern students is immediately intrigued. Word spreads that the West has some truly top-tier enchanters. A Western student fires right back. The East has the best fighters. The competition is on. A real rivalry is officially born. The principal dismisses everyone to go train, but this pink-haired instructor tries to get his attention. He's suddenly hard of hearing, so she reports a high-level beast. It wiped out a squad, and she volunteers to go herself. This gets the principal's full attention. He's clearly worried about the growing monster threat. He tells her to watch the students. He's going to stretch his own muscles. For this one, the principal's field trip takes them to the Evernight Desert, a lovely vacation spot where even the local wildlife is just trying to vibe. Until two pairs of feet drop in unannounced, Han Shen is understandably confused about this surprise desert getaway. But old John calls it a simple preview of high-level beasts. Our boy can already feel a nasty aura. Kneeling down, he finds the sand is soaked in blood, but there are no bodies, not a good sign, no remains, no beast, just a whole lot of questions. This principal explains. The monster is just out of his league, then stomps to wake it up. A massive shockwave ripples out from his foot. It shakes the entire desert, and suddenly the sand starts to move on its own, revealing a freaking S-class armored sand python erupting from below. So much for a simple preview. Han Shen is justifiably losing his mind over this. The beast's aura alone is enough to suffocate him, and its stats are completely off the charts. His body is literally shaking. He is totally paralyzed by the pressure. Yeah, he is pretty sure fighting. This thing ends in one very specific way. Death. Old John calmly tells him this fight is a little above his current pay grade. So his only job today is to stand back and watch how a real master handles business. As the principal unleashes his true power, Han Shen can only stare, completely floored by the insane aura, because the humble librarian just summons some kind of demonic battle armor. Showtime. His armor is fully formed, complete, with a tasteful skull belt for extra intimidation, and he is wielding a god stage weapon because, of course, he is. The system calls it SSS Class 2 armor. Basically, he is a walking apocalypse. Now, his dual blades even have a lifesteal enchantment that absorbs enemy combat power, which is bad news for the sand python lunging into attack. But with a flash in his eye, the principal gets down to business in a blur of red slashes. The entire fight is over before it even starts, leaving Han Shen's brain completely blue-screened. He couldn't even see him move. And just like that, the S-class monster is reduced to a pile of parts on the sand. Old John calmly tells the kid to take a few more steps back, for safety. That giant snake, just the appetizer. The real nightmare is hanging in the sky. A shadowy humanoid beast has been masking its demonic energy this entire time. It's a three-eyed disaster, a threat level that makes S-Class look like child's play. The two powerhouses face off. Han Shen is just trying to survive without getting vaporized by the ambient pressure. Even the principal admits he has never seen a monster this terrifying before. Han Shen considers suiting up, then reality hits. His armor would be about as useful as a paper hat. All three of the monsters' eyes lock onto them. Dark energy erupts from the sky, ready to tear everything apart. As the beast makes its first move, our boy realizes something. The sandworm was just a warm-up act. This principal tells him to stay put, totally unfazed by this world-ending threat. Old Zheng grips his weapon, bracing for the fight of his life. But the nightmare beast just mutters some demonic gibberish, and then it promptly dissolves into nothing. Just piecing out. The principal is left completely dumbfounded. Talk about a massive anticlimax. Han Shen cannot believe it either. The ultimate threat just ran away. With his armor gone, old Zheng complains about the blue bald fight. Han Shen notes that the beast language is a total mystery. Our boy looks at the principal with a sudden realization. He casually mentions that he understood every single word, which nearly gives the old man a heart attack. Back at the Eastern Academy, it is time for a very serious debrief. They head straight to the library for a little powwow. Inside, old Zheng explains the crazy situation to the Western principal, Neo, who reveals he had a similar run-in with a beast that also fled. Super suspicious. So old Zheng tells Han Shen to give Neo the direct translation. The kid relays the beast's ominous warning. A bigger bad is waking up soon to kill everyone. Both principals now realize they're dealing with minions of an even stronger unknown entity. Old Zhang decides to keep this world-ending news under wraps. Panic is unproductive. Han Shen then asks to borrow a training ground. For 3 days, piquing the principal's curiosity, he admits that the near-death experience against the sand python has him shook, facing that nightmare beast lit a fire under him to get way stronger. Fast, thinking it over, old Zhang agrees. Since the first-year training leaves a spot open, Han Shen heads to a private training ground for his 3-day power-up. Standing alone in a clearing, ready to start, he calls out for his sparring partners to appear. A whole squad of his undead minions pops into existence. Our boy lays down the rules. Anything goes as long as it isn't a fatal blow. For the next 3 days, it is known. Stop fighting. No sleep. Then he summons a badass-looking general just to really spice things up. Meanwhile, the two principals are watching. Worried the world is running out of time and strong fighters, Neo explains. The expulsion rule exists to keep the weak out of a real war. Old Zhang agrees. He knows the battlefield is a cruel, unforgiving place. The fight reflects in his glasses as he watches the slaughter down below. Han Shen is getting swarmed, completely surrounded by his own troops. His eyes glow, locked onto the chaos, but a mage hesitates to strike. Han Shen sees it. His undead army is pulling their punches. He gives them a simple ultimatum: go all out or get unsummoned permanently. That gets the message across. The skeletons charge with true intent to maim. He figures they are perfect training fodder. He kills, resummons, and gets healed. His plan starts with one-on-one duels to sharpen his basic combat skills. Then he starts stacking more soldiers into the fray, testing his limits. He knows he needs to master chaotic brawls if he wants to survive. What is coming for him, he does not know, but he's ready. Han Shen is absolutely wrecked, but the non-stop pain has sharpened his resolve. He's fighting for a future, for himself and for all his friends. 3 days pass, and the brutal training montage finally comes to an end. He steps back into the world, ready for whatever happens next. The system rewards him immediately with a massive armor level up and a new space storage skill that is going to be incredibly useful. On top of that, he earned a treasure chest. Gotta love those performance bonuses. Our boy almost forgot about his prize, but now he is ready to crack it open. He wonders what kind of epic loot is waiting inside this thing. A quiet moment hangs in the air while the system works its magic. Then the chest explodes in a brilliant, blinding flash of light. Han Shen stands there, completely stunned by what he just scored. A legendary mount, the fiery speed of red hair. This skill gives him a 200% speed boost for 20 seconds. That is just insane. He is already calculating how to use this god mode. It is going to be a total game changer in his next tough fight. But the rewards are not finished yet. He also gets 100 new infantry skeletons, followed by 100 siege types. His army is growing, and he is already planning to hit 500,000 troops. That is the only way to take on the massive threats looming ahead. As the sun rises, he realizes the exam is about to begin. He has no clue what to expect, but he's ready to face it. Elsewhere, in the center of the continent, the scenery looks like a heavy metal album cover. Deep inside an underground cavern, alone, mysterious figure stands waiting. This exam clearly is not going to be some simple written test. The figure in the cavern declares that everything he sees is just trash. He is not just talking about the scenery, he means his own demonic minions. This guy is seriously annoyed that humans are still allowed to exist. He questions his team's performance, but then he just stops. Now watch this, he decides to take matters into his own hands. He has a giant, glowing egg to babysit until it finally hatches. He promises to clean up the world himself, once and for all. That sounds less like housekeeping and more like total genocide. The exam kicks off in a surprisingly serene bamboo forest. Students zip through the trees, a blur of pure speed and determination. A white-haired student barks at everyone to move it, and fast. They're on a tight deadline, and he's clearly annoyed. He's grumbling about running like a peasant instead of flying, a classmate. Then asks where their leader is since he's totally Mia. She explains. The leader's on a special mission with Han Shen and will be late. This news just makes the white-haired guy even more suspicious of the Eastern Academy. Meanwhile, lagging way behind the group is the missing class leader, who's got Han Shen passed out on his back. He complains that he expected some perks for being related to Old Jung. Instead, he's playing pack mule for our boy, who's completely unconscious. He's practically screaming at him, wondering what he did for 3 days without sleep. Before they left, an instructor had gathered all the students for a briefing, adjusting his glasses. He confirms the team leaders have all the details for the exam. This instructor lays out the rules. Teachers from both academies will be judging them. Meanwhile, Han Shen is just trying to stay awake after his 3-day training marathon. Then the teacher drops news about a legendary holy sun arriving on the continent. This gets the other students buzzing about a prophecy to wipe out all the beasts. The instructor gets swept up in the hype, rallying everyone for a final war. The whole class starts chanting for genocide, a perfectly normal school activity. Back in the present, the students hide out in the bamboo forest. The white-haired leader announces they have reached the exam objective. Your mission is to take down an entire fortified city run by mercenaries. According to the intel, it has a heavily guarded front gate and a much weaker rear one. This map shows a clear path to the inner city, but getting there is the real problem. One student suggests a classic pincer move. A small team fakes an attack at the front. The white-haired leader bravely volunteers the Western students for that suicide mission at the front. An Eastern student immediately calls him out for the disrespect, but a new voice cuts in, telling them to stop arguing and hit the rear gate together. It is Han Shen, casually offering to handle the heavily defended front gate all by himself. Now watch this. The forest goes dead quiet. Han Shen pulls the two bickering leaders aside for a private chat. They aren't about to risk their classmates' lives unless he has a damn good reason for this solo act with his eyes shadowed. Our guy just calls out a command and suddenly a whole squad of undead soldiers tears into reality, pulsing with that eerie green light. The white-haired leader looks like he's about to lose his mind, while the other guy just completely short-circuits. Han Shen calmly explains that they are just his summons. He tosses in that he has hundreds more casual flex than he promises. He would never risk his team asking to handle the front gate solo. Both leaders are left totally speechless. Their entire argument just got nuked from orbit. Elsewhere in the forest, someone is hiding behind a rock. It is a student told to wait, but he has decided rules are for suckers. This guy immediately recognizes the armor on a summon, connecting Han Shen to a dead rich kid. And with his pockets empty, he hatches a plan to snatch to the song family for a massive reward at the mercenary city guard stand. Watch on the high stone walls as a grumpy officer yells at his men to earn their pay. Internally, he is complaining that the new recruits are weaklings. He scoffs at a letter from his mom going home will not pay for his gambling debts. This guard starts blaming the authorities for everything, especially the recent beast attacks, muttering that this crappy world should just end. Real ray of sunshine, right? Suddenly, his eyes catch something moving. Spotting a lone figure, he yells for a halt, declaring, "The city is off limits." Of course, it is Han Shen, standing there in his academy uniform, looking totally unfazed, leaving the guard to wonder if their secrets are exposed, or if the kid is just hopelessly lost. The guard yells down at the student, who just offers a friendly hi there. Then Han Shen cheerfully announces he is here to attack the city. That statement just completely fries the guard's brain. For a second, then he and his men erupt in howling laughter. Unfazed, Han Shen closes his eyes and simply says, "Come out." A literal army of the dead instantly materializes behind him. On the wall, the guards lose their minds. Trying to process the sudden army, that mustached officer starts panicking, yelling to wake the commander. A new guy appears, clearly annoyed at being disturbed by some little punk. This commander is a human king stage powerhouse. He thinks Han Shen is way too arrogant, smirking as he prepares to teach the boy a lesson himself. Down below, Han Shen turns to his own soldiers, thinking how these money-grubbing mercenaries are just like the people who targeted his own family. He won't feel even a shred of guilt for what comes next. He thinks about the other students back in the bamboo forest, who have all the siege weapons prepped and ready to go. At the rear gate, the other team leader finally gives the order to strike. They attack, leaving no survivors. The soldiers immediately start lighting their projectiles, while Han Shen's siege skeletons activate their skills for the main assault, launching a massive volley of fire into the air. The sky just erupts as those flaming projectiles rain down on the city, and the mustached officer instantly regrets every choice he ever made, crying out for his mom.